Hi, welcome to the 14-day weather forecast. It has felt pleasantly warm at times during recent days, but how are things shaping up as we head towards and beyond the Easter period? I'll start by taking a look at the view across Europe and the North Atlantic. The animation runs from 18 GMT Tuesday the 12th. It's using data from the GFS global model. At the outset though, it's a mixed picture. There are outbreaks of rain in parts of the UK. Some of them there in the north are heavy. The risk of showery rain continues in the short term, but then through Thursday and into Good Friday, high pressure starts to build and it becomes mainly dry. Could still be a few showers around, especially there across England and Wales Friday afternoon, but many parts of the country would probably be staying dry. Now, it's heading through the weekend that the fun and games begin to appear, because on this animation, it's all change. A deep area of low pressure pushes in from the west. Weather fronts associated with it send outbreaks of rain eastwards across the UK. Some of them could be heavy. And then it's a showery picture on Bank Holiday Monday. Downhill significantly after that mostly calm start on Good Friday and then Saturday. Just finishing this animation, the changeable or unsettled theme continues through Tuesday and into Wednesday, when it concludes with the Atlantic flow really bringing the prospect of further wet spells to all parts of the UK. So, is that likely to be correct? I'm now going to run another animation. This time it's using data from the Canadian global model. In the short term, there's not a great deal of difference, so I'll just whisk through it quickly. It's really as we go through the Easter weekend that those changes begin to appear, because on this model run, the unsettled weather is restricted mostly to the northwest of the UK, staying drier and warmer as you head southwards and eastwards. And even into Tuesday and then Wednesday, high pressures continuing to keep things reasonable in southern and central counties, with the Atlantic flow really just affecting the northern half of the country. A lot less rain around if the Canadian model turns out to be correct. So two significantly different scenarios. Can the high resolution models shed any more light on what's happening? Well, here are two rainfall charts from the Met Office UKV model. It only runs out to 120 hours ahead. So at the time of filming, it's not covering Easter Sunday and Bank Holiday Monday. Therefore, these charts are for Good Friday on the left and Saturday the 16th on the right. What they show is some showers on Good Friday across the southern half of the UK. One or two of them could be heavy, but many places probably staying dry. Then on Saturday, a lot of dry weather around in general. Just a few light showers there in the west, in the southwest. Not too bad, but the uncertainty really was focused on Easter Sunday and Bank Holiday Monday. So, can the ensemble data help to clarify things? Well, this is the Mogrip's rain rate chart for London. It plots the forecast from all of the individual runs in the ensemble, and the point to take on board is the lack of spikes. Most of the individual runs going for dry conditions for much of the period, continuing there through the Easter weekend. Going up to Glasgow, there are more spikes now. Nonetheless, it's not particularly wet. Therefore, taking all of the data into account at the time of filming, my conclusion is that the Easter weekend, and this is the fingers crossed bit, is likely to bring a good deal of dry weather to most of the UK. There probably will be some rain around, but I think significantly less than the GFS was suggesting. The Canadian model could well be a lot closer to the mark. Now, temperatures, using the GFS data here, 15 GMT, Good Friday, when it's still settled, warm as well. Maximums around 21 Celsius in the south. It's shown 20 there, but often GFS does have that tendency to undershoot a little bit. Even heading northwards, it's a pleasant picture. Saturday morning, forecast minimums down into single figures, 5 Celsius there, but it's not cold anywhere. Going forwards to Monday, 15 GMT, this is when the unsettled scenario really gets going across all regions, and temperatures have dipped significantly. Maximums now 12 or 13 or 14. But I think the important thing here is that it's probably, again, fingers crossed, going to be wrong, because it's showing a more unsettled picture. There's more cloud and rain, which is acting to pull down temperatures, and it's not in agreement with most of the other computer models at this time. Looking at the temperature plot from the Mogrip's ensemble, again pleasantly warm through the coming days. Then as we go towards Easter itself, there is a bigger spread showing up there. Most of the individual runs are relatively warm, but as I say, there is some uncertainty. There may be a little bit of support showing up here for the unsettled scenario that GFS was going for. On the other hand, though, the individual runs didn't really show significant rain at all. There were very, very few spikes there. So perhaps there are some indications of temperatures dipping, but probably staying dry, as I say. Going up to Glasgow, warming trend through the coming days. And then Easter itself, well, something of a spread there again, but probably temperatures remaining close to or above the average. Rainfall, well, discuss that to a certain extent, but looking at the days 0 to 5 charts here from the European model on the left, GFS on the right, reasonably consistent, but this is only going out to the beginning of Easter Sunday, of course, so it's before that unsettled weather comes in according to the GFS. Wettest in the north and the west on both of the plots. Very little rain in central and eastern England. 0 to 10 days now. Again, ECM on the left. Wettest in the north and the west. Similar distribution on the GFS, but the totals are significantly higher. You can see the green shading there across North Wales, Northern Ireland, parts of Northern England and Scotland, which is showing those higher amounts. Well, there is some uncertainty towards the end of week 1. Therefore, how do the deterministic models compare to each other? Just to recap, here is the GFS, which the first animation was based on, showing that unsettled picture. Tuesday the 19th, low pressure dominant. Next, the Canadian. I used data from this for the second animation, low pressure further northwest, high pressure having more influence. The German icon also shows high pressure having more influence. The European ECM, a little bit different. Low pressure there centred to the northwest, and a ridge of high pressure across southern counties, but more of a changeable theme there, beginning to develop with a trough moving in across the UK. Finally, the UK Met Office Global, low pressure up to the northwest, high pressure having a lot of influence at this point. Some uncertainty, some differences between the various computer models by Tuesday the 19th. All in all, probably dry in the south, central counties, maybe eastern counties too, a greater risk of changeable and wetter conditions as you head northwest. With quite a lot of uncertainty developing by the end of the first week, what can be said about the second? Well, as ever at this range, it's all about trends and probabilities, not specifics. Starting with the 16-day GEFS plot for London. Across the top, air mass temperatures, and the thing to note really is that the thick purple line, the ensemble mean, tracks a thick black line, the 30-year norm, very closely throughout. But there's a big caveat, because some of the individual runs are well above it, and some dipping a long way below it. It points towards a significant amount of uncertainty because what could be happening there is the very warm runs are being offset by the cold ones to show the ensemble mean as close to the norm. Low confidence. In terms of rainfall, across the bottom here, there are some spikes which continue throughout the second week. They point towards a risk of rain, but it doesn't look particularly wet, but not completely dry by any means. Going up to Glasgow, the air mass profile is very similar, but there are more rain spikes showing and they are taller, which indicates larger amounts of rain. Wetter as you head further northwest. I think on this update, the 2 metre temperature data table is more useful than the air mass line graph which we've just been looking at. This one is for London. The columns are mostly yellow and orange throughout this second week. The yellows, maximums of between 11 to 15 Celsius. The oranges are runs going for between 16 to 20. I think, therefore, it's pointing towards temperatures more likely to be at or above the average rather than below it. Up to Glasgow, the columns now yellows and light greens. Light greens are maximums of 6 to 10. Cooler as you head northwards, northwestwards in particular. What about the pressure trends? This is the mean surface level pressure data table for York. Mostly yellow through the first few days, although it dips, and the amounts of green increase before they start to fall later on again. Yellows 1011 to 1025 millibars, greens 996 to 1010. Probably pointing towards low pressure having more influence than it has done recently, and certainly than earlier in the period, where if you can just see it's covered up here, but mostly yellows and oranges which are indicating higher pressure. The trend, therefore, from when comparing week 2 to week 1 is for lower pressure to be over the UK, pointing towards that more changeable outlook. And the GEFS mean pressure for Friday the 22nd, so generated using all of the runs in the ensemble. Low pressure really probably dominant there. High pressure to the south. And the ECM also points to a similar type of thing. Low pressure over the UK. There are some hints on both of those that we could be seeing ridges of high pressure to the north, and if that happens, perhaps colder air being pulled down across the UK and the risk of frost increasing and wintry showers even in the north. But I think on balance, there isn't really a great deal of support for that scenario. It's just maybe something to keep at the back of your minds. The pressure anomaly chart for days 10 to 15, negative to the south, positive there to the north. Again, really just maybe hinting at the idea of ridges of high pressure to the north, the northwest of the UK, and allowing colder air to move down across the country at times. But really, as I say, not much support for that. It's important to remember with the anomaly charts, this isn't pointing towards high pressure, it's pointing towards higher than average pressure. So the normal pattern is for low pressure to be centered close to Iceland. It could just be indicating that that low pressure is somewhat weaker than it has been typically when looked at over the last 30 years. So to summarize, week 1, after a changeable and showery start, high pressure builds, so it turns drier. It also becomes quite warm, particularly in southern and central regions. However, through the Easter period, the amount of uncertainty begins to increase. At the time of filming, the favoured scenario is for there to be a good deal of dry weather, although showers are likely in parts of England and Wales early on, and then there could be more persistent outbreaks of rain in the northwest later. But there is an alternative possibility. That is for more unsettled weather to push southeastwards over all parts of the UK through Easter Sunday and Bank Holiday Monday. But as I say, I don't think that is particularly likely. Week 2, a transition to changeable conditions is expected. That leads to a risk of showers or longer spells of rain. The wettest conditions are likely to be in the northwest. Temperatures probably close to or above the average overall, but there could be some warmer or colder spells in the mix. So there we have it. I think it's very much a case of fingers crossed for the Easter period, because although on balance it looks promising, there is an amount of uncertainty still, and one or two of the computer models are pointing towards a more unsettled pattern developing. Not the favoured outcome at this stage, but I'm not discounting it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Thank you very much for watching now. Bye.